Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Luke Dhume, and this is the 6th episode of the Luke Dhume Show. And tonight we're going to be talking all about the war in Iran again, and what a weekend it was. But before we get into it, I want to remind you to make sure you comment, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe and tell your friends about it and everything else. Let me know what you think. Also, we just started our first line of shirts. So we have a t-shirt for the campaign coming out, and that the link will be in the description probably. So yeah, make sure you check that out. I think it's like $17 and some change for it, plus shipping is $5, so it's gonna be like $20-something. But yeah, check it out, see if you like it, and there's some other stuff on the website as well too. Some other pieces of clothing that you can check out. So yeah, we're going to be talking all about the war. We're going to go through a little timeline of it, and yeah, we're going to get into it. Oh, yeah, the early voting for the primary just started. The actual day for voting, the deadline is May 5th, so make sure you vote in that. If you haven't already, make sure you watch my interview with gubernatorial candidate Casey Putsch, and you can vote for him on May 5th. So yeah, make sure you follow me on X, follow me on Instagram, and yeah, let's get into it. So basically, as I said last Thursday, United States had a few options of either escalation or, maybe pulling out. And I said that they probably wouldn't pull out because that would mean a strategic victory for Iran. And I said a few escalation tactics are nuclear weapons, extracting uranium, or having an invasion force on one of the islands or like the mainland of Iran. And that's where we were on Thursday. Friday night, okay, so how it started was apparently, reportedly, an F-15 fighter jet was shot down in Iran, and the two pilots were, they parachuted out. They got the first one pretty quickly, but the second one, he was stranded for 14 hours where reportedly they had a massive amount of military personnel go in and extract him out of Iran. And this lasted into like the middle of the day, Saturday, from Friday night to Saturday. And in our time. Right now it's Thursday, by the way. It's Thursday. And anyways, so it is reported that they got him out, and there were no casualties or anything else, but they had to blow up a bunch of United States equipment so that Iran wouldn't get it out. And just to put it simply, it is definitely worth it to get rid of and blow up all this equipment for the cause of this American service member's life and to save it. Of course, it's well worth the risk and well worth the cost. But there are some reports out from Iranian intelligence and some intelligence in Europe that say that it was really just a cover-up to extract the uranium. We're never really going to know if that's true or not, but there's a lot of speculation to say that it was, because Trump said in a press conference that there were hundreds and hundreds of United States servicemen there in a bunch of giant cargo planes that came in and dropped off helicopters and everything else, and they were in a bunch of different places. They said in the press conference that it was because they were trying to, distract Iran in different places so they wouldn't know exactly where the soldier was. And, that may be true, or it may be a cover-up operation in order to try to extract uranium. And it was a failure, so it was they had to say it was to extract this pilot. But, it was reported that he is home safe, and that's a positive regardless. So that was Friday into Saturday, okay? Then, everything kind of stayed how it was a little bit towards the end of the day on Saturday. Then on Sunday morning, we got a Truth Social post from Trump where he basically cussed out the Iranian regime and told him to open the strait or they're all going to die. And he said that he was going to target civilian infrastructure, all of their power plants and bridges, they called them, the power plant and bridge day, which is, Tuesday coming up. This was on Sunday. It was this past Tuesday that was coming up anyways. But yeah, you take a look at this tweet. I really don't know how you defend this at all. Like, it's next level. Like, this is Easter Sunday, okay? A little after 8 o'clock in the morning. The holiest day in the Christian calendar, where Jesus Christ triumphs over death, where he rose from the dead, okay? Everybody's celebrating. Mind you, it is reported that Putin initiated a ceasefire for the Orthodox Easter Sunday, okay? But our president, he gets on there Easter Sunday, okay? And he says, open the effing straight. And then he's saying a bunch of other, I'm not going to use explicit language, of course, but he's saying open the effing straight. And at the end of the tweet, he says, praise to Allah, okay? This is Easter Sunday, okay? It's mind-blowing. Like, I read that on Sunday morning, I was like, what are we doing? Like, what? And he says that he promises to commit war crimes and, is cussing. You forget that, like, this is the president of the United States, and he's the president of children all over this country too, okay? And he's mocking God, okay? Mocking God on Easter Sunday. Praise be to Allah. That's crazy, okay? That's insane. And I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. Of course, like, he was, mocking the Iranians by saying it, but still, like, it's on Easter Sunday, guys, okay? I'm saying praise to Allah on Easter Sunday, even in a joking manner, is completely unacceptable. And anybody who says otherwise, I really don't know what you're talking about. Okay, the next day, I think it was Monday morning, he said that he was going to wipe out the entire civilization if they don't, open the strait. He said that he was an entire civilization will die, is what the first line of the Truth Social post on Monday morning was. So everybody was like, what's going on? Like, what's actually going to happen? This is pretty crazy, right? Okay, so you got to understand the position that the United States is in at this point, okay? On, Monday morning and, like, Monday afternoon. So you have our president who promises that he is going to destroy their civilization, okay? And by that, he means he's going to target all of their infrastructure, like all their bridges and their power plants. And because of that, they will collapse into a failed state, okay? And, like, if they have no power, they have nothing, they can't even, fuel up their cars, it'll be complete anarchy. That's what he means by the civilization will die, okay? So our president promises to end the civilization and, blow up all the civilian infrastructure and everything else. The whole world is watching, okay? Our president promises to do this, and Iran is saying, no, we're not going to open the strait. No, we're not going to open the strait, over and over and over again, okay? So at the very last minute, okay, it's coming up. This is Tuesday. It's coming up. The deadline was 8 p.m. At like 6:30 on Tuesday, there was apparently a ceasefire announced, okay? Where it looks like the United States, because Iran called the bluff, they said, no, we're not going to open it. The United States went to Pakistan, and Pakistan was, pressured by all the other Gulf countries because they knew that if the United States blew up all of Iran's oil infrastructure and all of their power grids and everything else, then Iran was just going to blow up all the other countries in the Middle East, okay? So all the other countries in the Middle East, they're all pressuring to make a deal because they know that all of their stuff is going to get blown up as well, okay? If the Iranian stuff gets blown up, they are going to blow up everybody else, okay? That's basic. That's basic. So what they're calling, like, this brinkmanship or whatever. So the United States is running to Pakistan. They're like, man, like, we really, like, what I'm thinking is that the United States is running to Pakistan is thinking we really don't want to do this because we know we got all these other countries pressuring us to make a deal. We know that we're going to have to do it because, we've extended the deadline so many times before. Like if they call our bluff one more time and we don't do anything, then we seriously look like styrofoam. So the Iranians go to Pakistan after the United States has been begging for a deal, it looks like, and they agree to a ceasefire. Okay, and in that ceasefire, the Pakistanis reported, the Iranians reported, and the United States came out and actually denied it a little bit later. But it started out as it looked like the United States agreed to it, to Iran's 10-point plan. Okay, that I talked about in the show last week. So a few things from that 10-point plan was that the United States would pull out from all of its bases in the Middle East. Okay, that Israel would stop bombing Lebanon. Okay, that the Iranians would have, free and be able to enrich uranium however much they wanted. Okay, that they would continue to have control of the Strait of Hormuz, and that they would have second and third degree sanctions relief, so their economy would be able to flow freely. Okay, so the Pakistanis said that the United States agreed to this. The Iranians said that the United States agreed to this. The United States hadn't really said anything at this point. Okay, they're like, wait, I don't even know. And the Israelis said that we didn't have anything to do with this negotiation at all. Okay, so at that point, Israel starts continuing, to bomb Lebanon because, they said we can't do this or whatever. And Iran is like, we can't do this. Like, if you're breaking a part of the plan, you're breaking a part of the ceasefire, the 10-point plan, Israel is still bombing Lebanon. So we're going to pull out. We're done. So at the last minute, again, Pakistan is trying to bring this down to a close and get everybody together, to negotiate. So at the end, I think it's J.D. Vance and a couple other guys are going to Pakistan, I'm pretty sure, to negotiate on Saturday with Iran's negotiators. I can't remember who it is. But as it stands right now, as it stands right now, this is a complete and total loss for the United States, okay? And you got to understand the reasoning behind it, because I hear all these people saying, we blew up all their people and we killed all their leadership and their navy is done and their military is depleted and they have no more missiles and everything else. So we won. This is a total United States victory and whatever. But you got to understand, what was Iran's goal starting out? Before the war started, the beginning of the war, and when the United States attacked Iran, what was the Iran's goal? Their goal was stay alive. Okay, that is their goal. That is victory. Victory to them is to not capitulate to the United States and to keep, their country intact. Okay, what's the goal for the United States? Okay, they've let out a lot of goals, especially at the beginning of the war. Regime change, no enriched uranium, into missiles manufacturing and all their stockpiles, no more proxies or anything else. And then also, I think it was the last thing, after Iran closed the strait is to open the strait. So that's, 5 different goals for the United States. Iran's one goal, stay alive, keep their regime intact. That's the only thing they cared about, okay? That's the only thing they cared about the whole time. Now, 40 days later, where do we sit? Is there regime change? No. Their top guys might have gotten killed, but everybody was replaced. The regime is still intact and stronger than ever. The country is more stable than ever. You can see unity all over where people are holding hands, trying not to get their stuff blown up. It might be propaganda, it might not be, but you're seeing no unrest in Iran at all, okay? The second one, proxies, okay? Hezbollah in Lebanon, that's they're still going on. Hezbollah, the proxy in Lebanon, it's still going on, okay? They haven't eliminated the proxy at all. Missiles, they've got cities hundreds of feet under rock that their sole purpose is to make missiles, okay? And Iran released a statement the other day that said, we don't have any idea how many missiles we had, and if we counted, it'd probably take 2 years. Again, might be propaganda, but still, they're firing missiles, and, it's not really depleted at all, okay? They still have missile launch platforms all over the place. And what was the fourth one? Enriched uranium. Yeah, they still have all their uranium that they, originally enriched before we blew up all of their facilities last summer. And they still saying, hey, we're still going to do this, after the war or whatever. And then now, which they didn't before the war started, the Strait of Hormuz was free flowing. Everybody could go in and out as much as they wanted. All the trade happened. And nobody costed any money. Like, nobody was getting blown up or anything else. Now, they are letting, I think it's 12 ships through, okay? I think 4 ships got through, or maybe 2. But they weren't oil. They weren't oil tankers. They were 2, like, cargo ships with dry materials or whatever. They got through the strait before Iran shut it down again, okay? So the 2 got through, and then Iran shut it down again because Israel had breached the ceasefire by continuing to attack Lebanon. So the Strait of Hormuz is in complete control of Iran, okay? And the United States really has no way right now of wrestling back control and freedom of the strait right now. Anyways, so they're charging a toll of $2 million, and they're only letting ships through who they want to get through, and it's only going to, benefit them by proxy by, giving their allied countries their oil or whatever they want. Like, they're not going to give it to United States allies or anything else. So Iran's one goal was to stay alive, and they're in a much better position now than they were, because now they have complete control of the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States is the one that's wanting a deal, wanting everything else. The United States, their 5 goals, originally 4, but now 5, none of them were accomplished. None. Nothing, okay? They still have missiles, okay? I got Pete Hegseth going on and saying, touting all their military victories. While they might have blown up a couple of ships, Iran's Navy is still intact. They still have their mine-setting vessels, okay, that they're setting mines in the Strait of Hormuz so that when ships go through there, if they don't get hit by rockets or missiles, then they get blown up by the mines. And then they have speedboats that are going around and shooting the boats and shooting the shoulder-mounted missiles at the boats anyway with them. So I don't understand anybody who tells you that this is a victory for the United States is either paid to do so and they're lying, they're in denial and they're lying, or they have no idea what they're talking about. And you should not listen to any of those 3, okay? Because I just laid out to you, you can say, oh, we killed a lot of their leadership, we blew up some of their Navy, we took out some of their launch platforms, The first American jet that ever got shot down in Iran was shot down last weekend. I had a buddy tell me that it was the first F-15 ever shot down in combat. Ever. Okay, I don't know if that's completely accurate, but Iran, what I'm saying is Iran is stronger than ever. And it's the United States that's begging to get out because the economy is crashing in the United States. The economy is crashing all over the world. Everybody's putting pressure on them. I said at the beginning of this that a war with Iran is not something that we needed. Is it a stupid idea? And now, again, we're stuck between Iraq, you get it, Iraq in a hard place, and we're up the Strait of Hormuz without a paddle. I've said this a million times, okay? I said it once, I said it a million times. The United States did not need a war with Iran. Here's the last thing. Here's the last thing that I'm going to say. Trump keeps saying that it was because he doesn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Like I said it once, I said it a million times. Iran has had the ability to have a nuclear bomb for a long, long time. They have enough enriched uranium to make 10 bombs, 10 nuclear weapons. And especially after Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal in 2018, they have all the material, they have the blueprints, they have the abilities. The only reason that they did not have a bomb is because they were doing what the United States wanted them to do, okay? And that is because they thought that if they negotiated with the United States enough about this specific thing and they didn't pursue a bomb, then they wouldn't have a total war and regime change with the United States. But that is why that they didn't have a bomb. That's why they weren't pursuing a bomb. Who knows? They might now. They might now because of this. We didn't need war in the first place. And yeah, it was a completely foolish idea to do it. And we're stuck. And the force posture, it just continues to rise. So, they might be meeting in Pakistan on Saturday. But you got to think about the hard lines of the United States, which is they want the Strait of Hormuz, they want the uranium, everything else, those 5 goals. And then you got to think Iran has all the cards right now. They achieved their goal, which is stay alive. And now they're not going to give up their uranium. They're not going to give up their ability to enrich. They're not going to give up their missiles. They're not going to give up their proxies. Then they're not going to give up control of the Strait of Hormuz, because why would they? Why would they? The United States is wanting to pull out. They've got them on the ropes. And you call this a victory? I don't know how you call it a victory. It's just like, are you completely detached from your reality or what? Let me know what you have to say about that. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Listen, if somebody can give me a compelling argument on how the United States actually won this as it stands, then I'm willing to think about it. But if you pay attention to the facts and don't just listen to everyone propagandizing in your ear about how this is a war won because we blew up some people, then you'll actually understand that it's the other way around. And listen, here's the deal. I don't know how people defend, I don't know I haven't heard any defense of this tweet on Sunday or any of the tweets that have been going out recently. One that just came out today where Trump attacked a bunch of his allies that helped get him elected in 24 and in 2020 and in 2016. He came out with a big, long tweet talking about how stupid and ignorant and low IQ and how nobody likes him. And he's talking about Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, and Tucker Carlson. Okay? And Trump said last week, he said, I love people who are nice to me. I don't care if they're good people or not. That's the only thing that he really cares about, it seems. And these people that have put their lives on the line and stuck their neck out for him over and over and over again, you see it. I watched Alex Jones' show, and he literally had a days counting, the United States golden age, counting it every day of Trump's presidency. But you get to things that you just can't defend about it. And then Trump just knifes him in the back like that. I don't know how you defend this, okay? Saying praise be to Allah on Easter Sunday and saying all these cuss words on Easter Sunday morning. This is our president, okay? He did not say Happy Easter, by the way. Didn't care. How do you defend this? Okay, because I'm looking at the facts. I'm looking at what he's doing. I'm looking at what he's saying. I'm looking at what he's posting. I'm looking at what's happening in the world. You tell me. But, speaking of Easter, it's kind of complete opposite, the eternal peace that you get through Jesus Christ and then all this stuff that's going on in the world. I'm going to, I'm going to read some stuff from John 20. This is after Christ resurrected. And this is one thing that you gotta remember, all this stuff, and even sometimes we just go through the motions on like days like this, Easter, I mean, and we're just like, it's whatever. But you got to understand that Jesus Christ like rose from the dead. Like that's what it's all about. Like he came back to life. He was dead and he came back to life. He beat death. Right? What else can you put your faith in? But anyways, 20, John 20, verse 24, starting in, it says, "But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, which was not with them when Jesus came, the other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he said unto him, Except I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days, again his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you. Then he said to Thomas, Reach thither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach thither thy hand, and thrust into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My Lord and my God. Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. And many other signs truly did Jesus in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name. You believe in Jesus Christ, you live forever. That's the bottom line, okay? You beat death if you believe on him, because he has beaten death. So yeah, keep that in mind and look into it if you haven't already. Yeah, make sure you follow me on X. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Follow me on here, of course. Like it, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the war. Let me know, what you'd like me to cover, if you'd like me to cover anything. Oh yeah, make sure you get to the shirts and stuff like that. And yeah, I just really want to say a huge big thank you to the people who watch the show. I love every single one of you, and I really appreciate the support. It does not go unnoticed. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. Yeah, so there's a bunch of people that watch the show consistently and, talk about it and like and everything else. And I really appreciate it. And yeah, from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough. Together, we're going to make this dream a reality. I'm running for Congress in 2030. I forgot to mention that, in Ohio, United States House of Representatives. Dhume 2030. We're going to take our sovereignty back. We're going to take, the power back and give it to the people. I hope you enjoyed. And now everybody have a great week.